Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's webinar. We're here in Scottsdale, Arizona at the MySwing Pro studio. MySwing Pro is a 3D motion capture system. If you haven't seen it, try to make arrangements to check it out, whether you're just an amateur golfer, whether you're a player, or whether you're a coach. It can't do anything but enhance your game. We're always brought to you by Medicus Golf and KickX Golf. And if you have any questions, just put them in the sidebar, and I'll get to them after we finish today's topic. So today we're going to talk about short game shots and which shots for different flags. So typically you're going to have a flag front, middle, or back, and they can obviously be to the front right, middle right, back right, or front left, middle left, back left. But today we're going to talk about front, middle, and back. So there's a couple things you have to think about. One, where's the pin? Two, the type of lie that you have when you're hitting these shots. Now, we're talking about pitch shots. So these can be shots from 10 yards all the way back to 75 yards, 65, 70 yards back. So those would be considered pitch shots. So I would advise you not to fall in love with one club, because then you have to vary the length of the motion. Try to make the motion always the same, just change the club to give you different distances. We've talked about this many times. If you were in the fairway and you had on the golf course, you had a 150-yard shot, you have a club that you're going to hit for 150. If that yardage and everything's the same, if the yardage is 170 or 140, you're not going to take that same club and try to hit it harder or easier. You would change clubs. So you want to change clubs as well when you're chipping and when you're pitching. So let's talk about a front pin. So typically with a front pin, you're trying to hit the ball just behind the pin. If you try to hit it at the pin or a little short of it, a lot of times those greens will have what's called a false front, right, when the pin's up. So if it's short, it could come all the way back down that slope. So for those shots, you want to take your highest lofted club, and you want to hit your highest trajectory shots. All right. So typically, what you figure out when we talk about pitching is, depending again on the flag, you have a shot that you want to carry 1/3 of the way, then roll 2/3. You have a shot that you want to carry 2/3 of the way and roll 1/3, or you have a shot that you're trying to fly halfway and then roll halfway. So those are all going to require different trajectories. And yes, you could take the same club and just change the angle of the shaft coming into the impact to alter those trajectories. It would be much easier to do if you just change clubs to do that. So again, we have a front pin. I'm going to take my highest lofted wedge, and as I set up the ball, I'm going to feel like my hands are more centered this direction. I'm not going to set with my hands forward. As I go from there, I want to make as big a backswing as I want to make. Right? As I come through it, because I want to hit it higher, I'm going to allow the club head to pass my hands in this manner, which is keeping the club face to the sky. And you may even see the target side elbow. I'll do it from this angle. You may even see the target side elbow come in around this way. And you'll see how the butt of the club kind of starts exiting left through here. That also holds the face more to the sky. So if I was going to hit the highest lofted shot, I would take it, mid hands on the body, take it up, swing it down, and let my arms just work into each other in this manner. So it feels like it's going pretty hard left. Now if I've got a middle pin, could be different yardage. I might use a different club because that's going to get me where I want to fly about halfway and then let it roll out the rest of the way. I would probably go to my next lofted club, try to make the same length swing, but this time, instead of having the hands at mid-body, I'm going to press them just slightly forward. So when I get down through this shot, I'm still going to allow the club head to pass the hands, but I'm going to have a little bit more of extension with the arms. I'm not going to let this left elbow fold into me quite as quick. So it would look a little something like this. So I'm chasing a little bit more, I call it chasing with your club head. Now I've got a pin that's all the way back. All right, so with this one, you see on TV, they're trying to fly it all the way to the hole, and those players are good enough that they can do that. But the majority of us, we need to play a little bit safer shot. So we want to flight that ball a little bit lower. So in this case, we're going to fly it about halfway. We're going to let it release it, hopefully release, and roll the rest of the way. So let's say I've got a 40-yard shot. So all of these are going to be, let's say, 40-yard shot area. So again, I might keep the same club, and if I'm going to do that, I'm going to press the handle even farther forward now, and I'm going to lean my body weight a little bit more forward. As I make my backswing, I'm going to try to keep my pressure up here on my front foot. So as I go here to make the swing, I'm going to extend my arms. I'm not going to allow the club to go into me this time. So I've got the handle more forward, weight and pressure more forward, make the backswing, feel like you're just throwing it, just like you're tossing a coin. So you see how my arms get pretty extended with this. This will keep the trajectory flatter, and I can let it roll all the way back. And again, I can do that with every wedge in my bag. There's going to be times when if you've got a back pin, you may even want to hit a pitching wedge to keep the trajectory really flat. So we'll roll on. Just the other day, I was giving a guy a lesson on his pitching, and he certainly needed it. He was just too stiff in his arms. And I said, you know, you have to let the lie dictate this. So we had an uphill lie. I said, all right, so you're going uphill, so what we want to do is first we want to move the ball towards the highest foot. Remember underneath the lie center. If I'm going to get higher, that's exactly what I showed you. I'm going to let the hands come in just like this, right? That's going to throw it up on the green softly. Now, you can take the same club and de-loft it, all right, up that hill, and it's going to come out flatter and it'll roll for you. So again, your lie is going to dictate the type of shot, whether it's going to be higher or lower. The pin's going to dictate what type of shot you want. You want your highest trajectory, your lowest trajectory, or somewhere in between. Now, a good way to practice your distance wedges is just pick up. You can pick these up at Toys R Us or anything else. Right? These are just little cones. Go out there and throw one out at about 20 yards. Throw one out at about 40, 60, and then 80. And from here, all you're going to do is you're going to try to take your club, you're going to try to fly it to the first distance. Then try to fly it to the second one, third one, fourth one. I watched Tom Lehman practice years ago. And he had a wedge, and he would take a length of swing about this big. And that ball would hit, and when he finished rolling, that was how far he wanted to carry the next shot. So that means he'd make a little bit bigger swing, a little bit more energy into it, try to fly it to that. He did that on 4 shots. So you're always trying to carry it when you're practicing this to where the previous ball stopped rolling and ended up. That way you're working on distance control. All right, so now we have a bunch of questions today, so let me get to those. And the first question today is from Ron. DeChambeau's swing. Why not set left arm on same angle as club like he does? What's the benefit of setting up with the hands directly into the shoulders versus high to get the arms on the same plane as the club right away? Okay, well, I'm going to take a driver, and let me see what club this is. Hang on. Okay, so Bryson, basically, he was trained in the golfing machine. And plays the same length of clubs, which is nothing new. People have done that for a long time. In fact, Tom Armour used to make those clubs. Back then they were called EQL. And Bryson's clubs are actually made by Dell Golf down in Austin, Texas. David Dell and his team. So let's say, for instance, Bryson sets up, and Owen Norman set up on the same angle. Most is set up here like this. Right? Bryson stands up taller. He sets the club, for instance, I want to swing the club up to here. You can see the plane angle of it beyond. He has his clubs built where they're setting on that angle already. So his arms are already in line with the shaft. From here, all he has to do is take it up and right back down that plane. Typical setup, it would be more like this, with an angle between the target side arm and the shaft, which means you have to try to shift to where you want. If you set it up high, okay, which means you stand up higher, the left wrist will actually be what we call level. So let me give you an example of what that looks like. So this would be a level wrist cocked wrist, uncocked. So if I set up level with my wrist, which is right here, now I don't have to cock this thing. I mean, I have to cock it going back, but when I come down, it's right where I want it to be. It's level. So you can set up like that. It's hard to do with normal clubs because what's going to happen when you do that is the heel of the club is going to be way off the ground this one. So, like I said, Bryce does this in golfing machine terms. It's called a turn shoulder plane. This is a hands-only plane. This is an elbow plane. And this is a turn shoulder plane, turn in shoulder, squared shoulder. So you just set up on a turn shoulder plane. It's actually the flattest plane you can swing on, still get your hands slightly above your right shoulder, or your trail shoulder. All the rest of these, this would be a zero shift. That would be a hands-only plane. This would be an elbow plane, zero shift. This would be a turn shoulder plane, zero shift. This would be a turn in shoulder plane, zero shift. This would be a square shoulder plane, zero shift. All he's trying to do is minimize the amount the club is changing angles during the swing. So it's really a good way to play golf. I mean, Mo Norman's a pretty good player. And as you can see, Bryce is doing a great job with it too. All right, next question. All right, this question is from John. I have a hard time opening the club face too fast. How can I square it at 18 inches? How can I get it square at 18 inches, but square at 3/4 in the top? I think you're talking about fanning your face open, John, which would look similar to this. I'll stand up here so you can see a little easier. I'll hold it up here. I think you're talking about doing this, which is opening that club face up. So again, that's because your hands are rolling like this. You want to feel like your hands are moving this direction so the club face actually stays pointed downward more. You can see where my right wrist is right here. So if I take my right wrist and I go like that, you can see how the face stays turned down. From this angle, it looks like this. Okay. When you roll, and you get your arms rolling, your forearms rolling, and your wrist rolling, what happens is your hands usually go out and the club head gets way behind. Then you have to try to lift and get it back on plane something. So you just want to feel like, we call it the club face looking at the ball. So from here, as I just bend my right elbow and raise the club, as you can see, this attitude, see that club face is still right there. Now when I come down, it's still right there. People that roll it have a tendency to come down with the face open back here, which requires them to roll their hands massively through impact. Now you have a huge timing issues when that happens. All right, next question. All right, this question is by Sam. Pitch shots that bounce once and stop. Well, everybody wants that shot. All right, so when you're hitting that pitch shot, the first thing you want to do is when you set up to the ball, you want to open the face a little bit. So let me get out of the way here. I'll put it down like this. You want to open that face a little bit because that's going to expose more of the bounce. Now, when you expose the bounce, okay, and you open it a little bit, that's going to basically make the takeaway a little bit more to the inside. So as you open this up going back, what you need to feel coming down is you're going to rotate your hands in this manner. Okay, so that's basically bringing the club head back to square. It's a little bit of club face rotation. I see a lot of people when they do that are trying to hit it this way. See, they're trying to close the club face, and what you need to do is rotate the hands, which rotates the shaft, and then the club face follows along. So when you get little pitch shots, start with the face a little bit open, a little bit tilted back, make your backswing, and then feel the club with your hands and forearm kind of roll this way just a touch. The ball will come out a little lower. It should take one hop and stop, or just check straight up. All right, next question. All right, this one is from Milton. How far left should I aim on a left-hander on chips and pitches when opening the club face? Well, so I'm going to do this as a left-hander. Let me just stand this way. All right, so here's a right-hander. And when you open up, you're opening up your lower, but don't open up your chest. Leave your chest squared up. You don't want everything opened up. So I'll do it from this way for you. So now I'm going to hit this as a left-hander. So I'm going to open. I'm going to keep my chest square. Now, as I take this back on the chip, right, again, the power is coming from my chest. My chest is what's moving this club through the shot. It's not my arms on a pitch or a chip. It is taking it up and then my body moving forward. It's the same sequence that you use in a full swing. So it always starts from the ground up. So you feel it from your lower body transferring into your pelvis and transferring up into your rib cage and into the arms and the club. So if you're going to make this little rolling motion I just showed you on the stop and check pitch, then you have to open that bounce and open that club face to be able to do that shot. If you keep it square and you do that, all you're going to have is overroll it and then the ball's going to take off too far left. All right, next question. All right, this one's from Susan. What's the best wedges to have in the bag regarding stiffness of shaft, loft, and lie? I play both the Parkland and the links courses. I'm 11 handicap. Okay, so Susan, the lie, the best thing I can tell you is to try to get fit for your wedges. When you fit for your wedges, that's going to determine a couple of things. The lie angle you need, the shaft stiffness you need, and also the amount of bounce that you need. I can tell you because I get down on the ball fairly hard with my wedges. I had to take my wedges and have them made where my 56 degree actually has 18 degrees of bounce. Most of the time you can get them around 12 from the manufacturer. 10 to 12 is pretty stock bounce for a 56 degree wedge. Mine has 18 just because I get down on it a lot. The Parkland versus the link style courses, the basic difference is going to be in the rough. The links course will be a little bit tighter and maybe a little bit harder in the fairway. So again, if you have a wedge that's designed to hit down on it more, okay, you get away with that easier in the Parkland courses than you will on the links courses because it'll be a little bit harder. The club can bounce into the ball. And it's especially harder to hit those little soft pitch flop shots off of tight lies. So you've got to adjust those. I have different wedges for different purposes. I mean, I'm playing a golf course that has a lot of fairway and greenside rough and it's thick. I have certain wedges for that versus the golf course I'm playing that has tight rough around it or tight edges around, like Pinehurst number 2. All around the green is pretty tight. So if you try to use a 60-degree wedge there, it's difficult to do. It can be done if you have enough skill level, but it's difficult to do for some of the better players. It's too much loft and too much bounce for a really tight line. All right, next question. All right, and this question is from Jay. Is there a swing change when using the bounce of the club? Well, there's not much of a swing change in itself. The change in itself is where the club shaft is relative to the ball at impact. I'm trying to use more bounce. Would it make sense when I come in more this way, which is this is now leading edge. This is the sole. You can see how far the grip's in front of me. This is the bounce. You can see where the grip is behind the face now. So if I'm trying to engage the bounce, and I don't want to open the club face a lot, then I'm going to set the hands slightly back like this. So when I come in the impact, I want to feel that same thing. I want to feel the bounce striking the ground. I don't want to feel the sole or the leading edge because that's going to take the bounce clear out. All right. And next question. Well, we got a bunch of good questions today. This one is from John. Can you give me a drill or tip to improve my accuracy on 80 and 100-yard shots? All right, so that goes back to pitching, John. When you're trying to hit wedges, you're never trying to make a backswing that looks like this with a wedge. You always want to feel like your hands are going to about 9 o'clock, maybe 10, and that's about it. That's the length of a backswing for a wedge. You'll have more control there. You have to remember that the wedges are designed for accuracy, not distance. So you don't want to make a big old full wound up swing with a wedge. unless it's way down in the jump somewhere and you have to chunk it out of there. But a normal wedge shot is going to be what you feel like is a 3/4 backswing, but a full finish, right? And again, depending on the shot you want to hit, that's going to vary your impact location of the shaft. Okay, whether the shaft's going to be leaning way forward, normal loft, or a little bit back or vertical. But making less than a full swing will automatically increase your accuracy. All right, next question. All right, and this one is from Ron. I have trouble taking the club back too inside and hooded when my pitching wedge goes sour. Any good images or drills to get the correct takeaway on pitch shots? All right, so again, when you're hitting these pitches, I was going to hit the softest, shortest pitch I'm going to hit. I would do exactly what you're doing, Ron. I would take the club back a little bit in, let my right elbow kind of go around behind me. And then as I came down, I would let the left elbow behind me. This is for a shorter pitch. If I was hitting a longer pitch, it's going to feel much more like a normal golf swing. So again, we don't want to get the club, the face opening up like this because it'll get behind us. So even with this pitching wedge, as I get set here and I take it back, I still feel the club face is down a little bit. All right, you got to keep that down in here. Again, if that club gets back here or out here too much, you can do this, but when you reroute it, the face is going to be wide open when you do that. If you get it back here too much, then you come over here, now the face is turned down too much. So it'll have zero loft tone, so it'll be hard to get it going in the air. So again, anytime you're hitting wedges, remember, they are for accuracy, so you make less than a full swing. And you can just take, imagine that you're standing on a roof, a slanted roof, and your club's laying on the roof like this. Try to feel that shaft, okay, stay on that roof. Don't try to crash it into the house or take it off the roof. Just feel that shaft staying right on the roof. And as you come down, same thing, and you come to the other side. Feel like the shaft stays on the roof. All right, I think we have one more question, and this is from Ron, I think it is, or Dan. How do you correct a push shot? Okay, Dan, so a push shot, if it's not curving, and your ball just, let's say you're a right-handed player, your ball starts to the right and stays right with no curve. All that's telling you is your face and path are directly square to each other. All right, so if I want to hit a push draw, all you need to do to fix that is make sure the club face, okay, is closed to the path that you're swinging on. So we've talked about this a bunch of times. So you have where you want the ball to end up. You have where you want the ball to start. That's controlled by the club face. Then you have your swing path. This is if you're hitting a draw for right hand. So if my path is way out here, my target line is in here, where I want the ball to end up, that means my club face has to be between those two. So it would be closed to your path. The path is what the club head's taking through the shot. So I would start with little shots, take it back, set the club face first where you want the ball to start off. Set your body to the right, if you're a right-handed player, of that club face. So when you look down, this looks like it's closed to how you're standing. From there, you want to make sure you swing along your body line without changing that club face. That should start the ball to the right and draw it back to the center. Okay, that's all the questions we have for today. I want to thank you guys. We've been down the last couple of weeks, but we'll be back. May 17th, the weekend of May 17th, and the following week, we will not have the webinar. I've got to do a couple little things, and I'll be back on my feet shortly after that. So anyway, so the weekend of May 17th and the following weekend, I think it's actually the 20th or 27th. We won't have one then, but keep your questions coming in. Send us some ideas and things, topics you want us to talk about. And if you get down to Scottsdale, give me a call. We'll see you then.